Welcome, everyone. My name is Andrew Patricio, and I've been a business owner for the last 30 years, but for the last 25 years, I've been educating, training, and trying to inspire business owners. But here's the thing that I've learned from some of the most successful business owners that I've worked with, is that you and I have to become good at this marketing thing. We have no option. We've got to become good at this marketing thing. We've got to get leads. We've got to get customers into our store. We've got to get people to our websites. Whatever it is we are doing, we've got to understand, we've got to generate leads. So you've got to learn how to do this well. You have no option. Most of us, because we are inspired and we are motivated, usually we're quite good salespeople. So when somebody phones us up and says to us, you know what, I want you to work on this project, we can close those things. The challenging part, I think, for all of us, including myself, is how do we get those people through our front door, through our website, or to respond to our emails? I think that is the key thing. But there are a couple of basics that I think all of us have to get right. If we want to improve our marketing, if we want to make sure that our marketing is better than average, we've got to know who our ideal client is. I, as a business owner, have to have a clear idea of who potentially would buy my product or service, because then I'm going to focus on those people. I don't want to sell to everybody. That's not my goal. I don't want to sell to everybody. I want to sell to people that need my product or service. When they buy my product or service, they're happy because it solved a problem they had, and then I want them to speak to other people about my product or service. And those people are my ideal clients. Those are the people that I want coming through my front door. Those are the people I want emailing me, phoning me, and want to do business with me. And you've got to understand this as a business owner. The second thing we've got to do is we've got to create structure. We've got to create a little bit of a plan. And I realize as I get older that I'm quite obsessive in the sense that everything I do, I like planning. And the reason I like planning is because it makes my life easier. It ensures that things are done. Even now, I'm planning a trip to the north of Spain where we're going to be walking for 7 days. And I'm going through all the detail. What are we going to do on this day? Where are we going to stay? How many hours are we going to walk? All of that type of stuff. And it's amazing the impact it has, because I'm walking with 6 other people, so there's going to be 7 of us. And when I send them, the plan, and I send them all the stuff, you can almost see the relief on their faces that we have a plan. So we know what we're going to do on Monday. We know what we're going to do on Tuesday. We know where we're going to stay on Wednesday. And it's just a little bit comforting. Will things go wrong? Absolutely. Like anything in business, you create a plan, you write all these things down. They don't always happen like you want them to happen. But that doesn't stop me, or it shouldn't stop you from still planning your day, your week, your marketing, your financials. It shouldn't stop you from doing it. The third thing is this consistency thing. I know I am guilty of this, so I'm not going to point a finger at anybody, but I know that I'm guilty of this, is that sometimes what I do is not consistent. Whether it's our branding, whether it's the way we send out emails, even my fonts, I change them, and that is not good for marketing. Marketing is about consistency. And I see this very, very often when I go into small businesses and I walk in and they serve me, and I can feel often, that to me, the service is just ordinary. It's just average. That is a problem. As a business owner, if we start our business by offering great service, we need to maintain that great service. It needs to be consistent. So every single time I buy from your business, or every single time I walk into your front door, you need to ensure that my experience is consistent, whether it's the branding, whether it's the fonts, whether it's the way you do things. But it's really important that we understand this, is that consistency is what customers are looking for. And then the next thing, especially in these very, very difficult times, I really think for a lot of us, we've come through this massive crisis in our life, And now we're dealing with a slowdown in the economy. And one of the things we've got to make sure that we do is now start measuring every single thing we do. So if I'm spending $10 on marketing, I need to know that I'm getting $10 at least of business from this marketing. And as a business owner, one of the things you've got to do, and you've got to consciously do this, is work out ways that you can measure the effectiveness of your marketing. So if you're spending $100 or $50 or $20 or whatever it is, you want to know, was that well spent? The other thing that I think is really, really key as business owners is that we identify who our warm leads are. Who are these? I remember working with a group of marketers, she's quite a long time ago now, but 18 years ago, when I first started this business, and they used to call them low-hanging fruit. And really, these are the customers that you know that if you hang out with them, they understand what you do, and then they buy from you. And one of my favorite examples is a client that I had for many years, for about 10 years until they were sold out, a company called GE Capital, or they used to be called General Electric. You may have heard of them before. And one of the things that I realized as a business owner, firstly, I'm not extroverted. I'm not the most friendly person when you meet me at events and things like that. But I do know that if I'm at the right place at the right time and I bump into the right customer, I'll be able to tell them how I can benefit their business, and usually they'll buy from us. Anyway, so I went into this conference, and this conference was very, very specific. Before I went to this conference, I did a bit of research to try and find a conference to identify our buyers. And in that case, that stage of our business in BizLaunch, what we were doing is we were working with larger clients. So in the case of GE Capital, they were selling services to small business owners. So ideal target market for us. Anyway, so there was this conference they were running for people that did this. They work at large companies, but their responsibility was marketing to small businesses. So a company like Visa, a lot of the banks, Staples, Dropbox, accounting firms, those type of accounting software companies were all going to this conference. Anyway, so I went to this conference and I was walking to the washroom, and this guy asked me, "What do you do?" And I said, "I host webinars for companies that are targeting small businesses." And he said, "You know what? We've been looking for somebody to do that. Do you have a business card?" And I gave him my business card, and I thought, I'll never hear from this guy again. Maybe it's just I'm a bit of a pessimist, but like anything, out of every 10 business cards I hand out, I expect a response from one person. The crazy thing is I got a call the next day, and we did business with him for about 10 years. And the reason I believe is I was at the right place at the right time. So as a business owner, you want to work out what is the right place at the right time for my business. It could be a trade show. It could be a market. It could be a conference. It could be posting stuff on a website, whatever it is. But understanding who your customer is, it's like fishing. Once you know where the fish are, you want to drop your bait there, and the chances of you catching fish are just so much better. And that's what you've got to understand. Or, for example, I remember years ago, I haven't done this for years, but I remember years ago going with a bunch of guys on a lake, and then they had this machine that used to, I don't know how it worked, but it looked under the water and you could see where the fish were. And once we found where the fish were, they would drop a line. I'm not much of a fisherman, but they drop a line and we'd catch fish. And it's the same concept in business, is that once you understand who your customer is, it makes this process so much better. When the economy slows down, every single one of your buyers are second guessing their purchases. They're looking at every single purchase they make of a product or service, and they're thinking to themselves, do I need this product or service? And if I need it, do I need the same amount? Can I reduce the amount I'm buying? Or the worst option is, can I find somebody else that can supply it at a better price? And a lot of that is going to happen. A lot of that is going to happen. So as a business owner, one of the things you need to work on is to try and identify what is it that you do that is unique? What is it that you do that is different? And let me just say something to you. This is actually very, very challenging. The reason this is very, very challenging is, especially if you offer a generic service like mine, where we run seminars and training programs and seminars for small businesses. Basically, anybody could do it. Actually, any one of you on this webinar could wake up tomorrow morning and say, you know what, that stuff that Andrew does on the internet or live or whatever it is, I can do that too. I'll create a few slides, I'll get a projector, and I will start competing directly against it. So any one of you could do this. So the only way I can differentiate myself is by standing out from the crowd, by speaking about things that make me unique, that make me different, that make me special. And as a business owner, every one of us need to think about that. And now more so than ever, because where our customers are potentially reducing their budgets, we've got to really think about it. I mean, I think of even now, people are thinking about where they buy their groceries. I was reading an article this morning, for example, people are using more coupons, are they shopping around more, they're doing more online shopping, all of these things that basically work against small business. So if we don't have something that makes us unique, that makes us different, that makes us special, that attracts customers to us, we've got a problem. And you've got to understand the value of this. So I would encourage you to sit down and think about these things. Think about it. What is it that I do that is unique? What is it that I do that is different? The other thing you've got to learn as a business owner, and for some of you, some of you have been in business for a long time. What we don't always realize is that, customers that keep coming back to us are our most valuable asset. They really are. People that buy from you on a regular basis. And people that buy from you on a regular basis, and sometimes you mess up, but they're okay because they've bought from you for a while and they know that you're typically good. And one of the things you want to do is you want to create that environment. Those people trust you. And I know in our business, we've got a bunch of people like that. So we got a bunch of people like that that'll phone me up and say to me, Andrew, this is what we want to do. And can you give us a proposal? And 9 out of 10 times, not 10 out of 10, but 9 out of 10 times, they give us the business. And I believe that this is one of the keys to building a successful business, is that when people trust you, they will trust your product, they will trust your service, they'll trust that you will deliver on time. And more importantly than all of this is they will probably refer you to their friends. Because one of the reasons that sometimes I will not refer people is because I'm concerned they let my friends down. And then if they let my friends down, my friends are going to come back to me and say, Andrew, that guy you referred me to, well, he didn't return my call. One of my biggest fears. So as a business owner, you want to earn trust. And how do you earn trust of different people, of customers, of potential customers, is by doing the little things right. For example, responding to customer requests, showing up on time, doing what you say, all of those type of things. These are the basics of business. And I'm yet to tell you that a lot of people get these basics wrong. A lot of people get these basics wrong. And then they wonder why they're not succeeding in business. You cannot survive in business, or maybe you will survive during a good economy. But as soon as the economy slows down, your customers that are just a bit iffy, they're not sure if they can trust you, are going to seek other suppliers and things like that. So you've got to consciously make a decision as a business owner that I'm going to build trust. The other thing you want to do, which makes you and I unique as business owners, is our story. You have a story and I have a story. And you've got to understand that sometimes this story influences customers' buying decisions. Actually, many times, your story influences customers' buying decisions. So one of the things we've got to learn to do as business owners is tell our story. I, for example, am now working with an interesting business, and she makes beautiful chocolates, beautiful candies. And I said to her, you make beautiful chocolates, I said to her. But you've got to understand that one of the most interesting parts about what you do is your story. She came originally from Brazil, used to work in a bakery, and then decided to start making chocolates part-time, and then evolved, and now it's a business. And I said to her, you want to tell a story about each chocolate that you make. She makes these little like chocolate bonbon things, expensive, but beautiful. And I said to her, each one's got to have a story of why you chose to make that chocolate, what ingredients go into it, the way you do it, the care that it goes into it. All of those things make your chocolates unique. Otherwise, you're competing against everybody else that sells chocolates at $2.75 each, which is very expensive. And you've got to understand this as a business owner and as a marketer, that sometimes your story is your most powerful thing. I know, for example, in our case, it's very difficult for me to differentiate myself. But every now and then, I will say things to my potential clients like, I've worked in 23 different countries. We've been doing this for the last 25 years. I've written 2 books on small business. We've trained thousands of business owners. All these things are part of our story. They build a bit of trust, but they also give the customer a bit of comfort, saying, you know what, these people have been doing this for a long time. They've worked with a lot of different businesses in different parts of the world. They're probably good. And this is one of my favorite examples of this. And the only reason it's one of my favorite is I know these 2 people. They did a course with me. I can't even remember how many years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, 5, I can't even remember. But I remember them on the course, and they told us the story. They told us the story of how they worked in a coffee and a tea shop, and then they decided to go and look for quality teas and all this type of stuff. And I've had a few people on my training program that tell a great story. And it's interesting when I look back, a lot of them have gone on to become very successful. And I'm not going to say it's because of their story, but I think the story helped, because they can then share with people their experience, their knowledge, their travels, how they selected some of their teas. And if you haven't written your story down or got somebody to do it, and sometimes that's a good idea. Some of you maybe know, but one of my sons, Marco, is a storyteller for brands. He doesn't do it but he tells storyteller for brands. And I was looking at an example. He shared a website with us early on of a client he worked with, actually one of his cousins in London. And my other son, Daniel, was reading and he said, this is so Marco. It's brilliant writing that is simple and easy to understand. And you've got to tell your story like that. It's got to be brilliant. It's got to be simple, and it's got to be easy to understand and stuff that people can relate to. So maybe that's one of the things you can work on now, is telling your story in a way that inspires people to buy your chocolates or to buy your tea or to buy your training services or to buy your consulting services or to buy whatever it is. But learn to tell your story. And if you can't tell your story well, get somebody to tell it for you and then turn it into videos, into some content, blog posts, all of those type of things. Some of the most successful business owners that I've worked with over the last 25 years, when they originally start and they spend a bit of time with me, And they say to me, if this was your business, what would you do to grow it? And I say, one of the first things I would try and do is to try and identify, how can I get free publicity for my business? And the reason I tell them to do this is my most successful business owners on this program that I've been running for 25 years of educating business owners. The most successful business owners have often got free publicity. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how you and I can do exactly the same thing. Actually, interestingly enough, when we started BizLaunch 19 years ago, that is exactly how we launched our brand. I know people that know me from running seminars 12 years ago, 14 years ago. It happens to me every now and then. I'll be in a different city and somebody will be sitting in the seminar room and they'll say, I remember you. You ran some seminars in Staples stores, usually don't know how long ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it is. And you've got to understand the power of that is that when you get your name out there regularly and you're in the newspaper or you're on radio or you're on TV, it's really good for your brand. Also, it gives your brand a face. You know what I'm saying? People can relate to it. One of the things that some of you, obviously not all of you, but some of you can relate, and some of you like attending BizLaunch webinars, is because I speak from experience. I'm not that smart, so I don't have all these theories and things, but I speak from experience of running a business or people that I've worked with before or been on my training programs. But here's the thing that I've learned from these successful business owners, including what we've done in BizLaunch. Free publicity is probably one of the best ways to grow your business. And the interesting thing about getting free publicity for your business is that the media wants your story. I mean, I see it all the time, when business owners of mine are getting into the newspaper or radio, whatever it is, and they message me and they say to me, you know what, it wasn't that difficult. I say, I know. That's why I teach this stuff, because it's not that difficult, otherwise I wouldn't be able to do it. But free publicity can be really, really good for your business. It gives you credibility. If you're regularly in your local magazines or regularly writing on blogs or maybe you've written a book or whatever it is, this gives you a bit of credibility, especially those of us that are selling services. It's really, really important. And the other thing is it'll help you build your brand. You don't realize the value of this. Actually, I'm working with a guy now that I've got to know really well over the last year. And he's basically used his persona that he has in the media to grow his business. And it's been unbelievable. This guy's just about every couple of weeks, he's in the media. And I was speaking to one of his staff members and he says, every time Tim's on TV or radio or appears in a magazine or is interviewed for a blog or a podcast or whatever it is, our website traffic goes really, really high. But the interesting thing about Tim is he's realized the value of this. And you've got to understand that when you regularly write content or when you regularly appear on blog posts or podcasts or whatever it is, your customers will probably read it. And if your customers don't read it, your potential customers will read it. And they'll remember it, especially if it's an interesting story. I mean, if you tell an interesting story, it's amazing how people will remember it. And it'll happen if you appear in the media. The other big opportunity is to enter business award competitions. I always say to people, there's so many award competitions out there. And most of them, let me be honest with you, are an absolute waste of your time. And I've seen this a bunch of times, people have this in their name, award-winning entrepreneur. What does award-winning entrepreneur mean? It means that somebody decided as a committee, you know what, we got to give the prize to somebody, let's choose this person. I don't care about, what it does for my ego, that I can put on my resume, award-winning entrepreneur. What I care about is the publicity that it gives you. And one of my favorite business owners that I've worked with, I started working with her 25 years ago. And when she started, I said to her, Cindy, there are a couple of things you want to do. Is you want to get publicity. You want to become a public speaker so that you can get your name out there, and you want to enter award competitions. But remember, when you win, don't take it seriously, because it's really not worth the paper it's written on. But from a publicity point of view, it's very, very good. And as a business owner, you've got to understand this. So let me tell you one of my favorite stories. This is one of my favorite stories, and they regularly attend my webinars, but it's two young people. They had attended a course I ran maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and regularly attend my webinars, and attended any other courses that I run every now and then. When I've got a bit of time, I run a program on how to scale your business. It's a really fun program, but I usually have to be patient, and it's got to be done live and in a venue, and I don't always have the patience to do it, but they always attend, and they regularly attend events. But when she first started, and I'll speak about her because she's the face of the brand, and she's the motivator. That's her and her husband. They started this business. They moved to Canada maybe 5 or 7 years ago. I can't even remember. And when I first met her, I could see she had a lot of energy. She's an architect, but in a very, very male-dominated industry. And she said to me, Andrew, how do you think I should grow my brand? And I said, I would probably do 2 things. I said, I would spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, and I would try and get free publicity. And she said to me, getting free publicity is hard. I said, I know. I mean, this is not news to me. But let me tell you something. I think she's done a much better job than I taught her how to do. And I went onto her website this morning just to see. I was going to Google, publicity for the company. And I thought to myself, let me just go and see their website. And I went to their website, and they have a link for media. And you can see on the left-hand side of the screen how much publicity these entrepreneurs have got. But you've got to understand, it started because they won a training program that I was running. And I said to them, I think this is the way you're going to be able to grow your brand. And whether I was right or wrong doesn't matter. That's what I thought. But the other thing that I like is their story. You see, since 2008, we have traveled extensively, lived in many cities, and explored a wide range of urban environments. And we're excited to bring this rich experience into our So that's their story. We've traveled to different parts of the world. We've looked at different design. We've looked at different things, and we want to offer it to our clients. What a lovely story. So when, I say to people, this stuff works, there's a very good example. This stuff works. And that is why I say to business owners, when you come to a webinar like this, I'm going to share a lot of ideas with you, sometimes too many, but you've got to take 1 or 2 and you've got to try them. And you've got to try them, and you've got to try them until you get tired of trying them and they can work. The other thing that we need to relearn almost, actually, I was thinking this morning, after I created this content. I mean, I'd created this content before, but I just go through my slides the day of and move a couple of things around and things like that. And I was doing that. And I was thinking, one of the things every one of us almost need to relearn is how to network. Because here's the truth. The best projects that I have got in my business over the last 19 years have been because I was at an event, I meet somebody, or somebody attended one of my seminars or one of my presentations, and afterwards they came up to me and they said to me, Andrew, I saw your presentation, or whatever it is, can we do business? So here's the thing you've got to understand, is you and I have to start networking, because this is the best generator of leads. I really believe that. I think this is one of the things that we've been missing over the last 2 or 3 years, because we've been having Zoom meetings and things like that. And some of us, like myself, that are a little bit introverted, or not a little bit, a lot introverted, really liked this whole Zoom thing. But that is not the way people do business. The way people do business is you go to an event, you meet somebody, you start building a relationship, and after a bit of time, they start buying your stuff. And you've got to understand the value of this, is that networking is one of the best ways for you to generate leads. So go to events, start going back to events. I think I'm going to my first big event, and I'm not even an event person. I don't even like networking. I think it's a pain in the ass, but I realize that it's good for my business. I think I'm going to my first big event in Europe in November. I haven't decided 100% yet, but what am I going to go do there? I'm going to go share ideas. I'm going to discuss business challenges, but I'm going to use it to almost remind people, hi, remember us, BizLaunch? We're the guys that run seminars and webinars, and we can speak at your conferences. We're around again. We're still around. We're still in business. We've survived this pandemic, and we're trying to grow our business again. So you've got to understand the importance of this, that every single one of us have to go back to these basics of networking, of going to events, of going to some good ones, some bad ones, but we've got to be doing this. The other thing you want to do is think like a marketer. Try and identify what is the profile of the people you want to meet. For example, we work, a lot of our work is in economic development. So one of the things that I typically do is I create profiles of the people that I want to meet, and I go to economic development conferences. Why? Because the people are going to be there. So I don't waste my time. For example, if I walk up to you and ask you, what do you do? And you're not the profile of my customer, I'm going to be polite, maybe speak to you a minute, but really I need to move on, because I'm at networking events to do business, not to make friends. So what we need to do as business owners is go back and identify conferences, identify trade shows, identify markets, identify events where our potential customers or existing customers hang out, and go and hang out there. And I think a lot of us need to relearn. I mean, I was thinking of it this morning. One of the challenges that it's happened because of COVID is I've got rid of all my fancy clothes and suits and ties and all that stuff. Not that you should be wearing ties anymore, but I need to get into those things because it's a really important part of my business. I was speaking to my brother last week and I said, how are things going? He said, well, I'm spending all my time going out for lunch. He said, I've got to reconnect with these people and, tell them that we're in business and what we're doing and how we're doing it. And we've got to do it in a social way so it doesn't come across as selling. And I think this is very, very important that every single one of us look at these things and make sure that we set ourselves specific targets and specific goals and start attending events. And I think this is really, really key. The other thing that I think is very, very underrated with small business owners is email marketing. I have said to a lot of people over the years that I think email marketing is one of my favorite ways of marketing. The reason you are at this webinar this afternoon is because I sent out an email that cost me next to nothing, and then all of you showed up. But here's the thing. You've got to understand this as a business owner, that this is one of the best ways to market. Why? Because everybody has an email address. Everybody. Not everybody's on Instagram. Not everybody's on TikTok. Not everybody's on whatever. But everybody has an email address. And I encourage you to use email to communicate with your customers. Do some of them not like email? Absolutely. Do I sometimes not like email? Absolutely. Why? Because it's spam. But if it educates me and it benefits my business, that's a different situation. And this is what we need to learn. If we're offering value in our emails, people will open them up. Otherwise, most of you would probably not open up my email. You would have thought, nah, I'm not opening this email. But you saw I was running a seminar on marketing. You thought, you know what? Maybe I can learn a couple of things from this guy. Maybe one thing or two things, even though some of you have been to many of my marketing webinars before, you still decide, oh, let me just go and see if Andrew's got something different to say, or these BizLaunch people have got something different to say. But it's little things that we need to do. For example, put up a sign-up form on our website. And some of us have good intentions and we speak about these things and we're going to do them when we have time, and then we never do them. Don't use time as an excuse. Every one of us these last 2 years have had more time than we've ever had in our lives. So if you're saying it, I can't do it because I don't have time, that's a load of garbage. You're probably not doing it because you're not prioritizing. And that's what we need to learn to do, is we need to prioritize things. And when you prioritize things, you get them done. And in my case, prioritizing things is getting to my desk in the morning and writing a couple of things down on a piece of paper and say, doing this. Or even this webinar, I was sitting in my office last week and it was on one of my to-dos on Wednesday. It said, run a webinar next week. And I thought to myself, if I hadn't written this down, I would have probably forgotten about it. I wouldn't have set up the Zoom link and we wouldn't have met online today. And you've got to understand this. It takes commitment. It takes work. It takes prioritizing. And this is when these things work. And one of the best opportunities for you is to create a way you can communicate with people regularly and you can personalize it. And one of my favorite examples, and some of you maybe have seen this example before, was this restaurant that started an email newsletter during COVID. And they got 500 people to sign up. You've got to understand, these are 500 people that have said, please put me on your list. And then when you have something going on at your restaurant, message me. And this is my favorite type of marketing. Why? Because it's permission. These people have said, you can email me. You can send me emails. That doesn't mean I'll read your emails, but you can send me emails. And that is a very, very powerful thing. And you've got to understand this as a business. So maybe that's what you're going to do. Maybe you're going to decide this afternoon, you know what, I'm going to create a newsletter, or I'm going to create a regular, let's not call it a newsletter because it sounds too formal and too structured. Maybe just a short little piece that you send out to customers on a regular basis, educating them. And that's the key. You've got to educate them. So let's think of other things we should be setting up. And some of these things are just so basic, but you and I need to get into them. You know, we need to reach out to people and say, you know what, we're offering free consultations. Let us come to your place, look at what your needs are, and in 20 minutes or 15 minutes or 17 minutes, we'll give you a free consultation or a free demonstration. You know, I know you're not sure you want to buy our product or our service, but let me just come around and just show you how it works. And you don't have to buy. I just want to show you how it works and see. And we've done this many times over the years where we have these skeptical customers and we say to them, you know what, let us just come in. We'll just run a seminar for you, an hour seminar. If you like it, we do business. If you don't like it, we don't do business. And sometimes, you know, when you remove the risk, and that is the key here, is removing the risk, saying, you know what, you don't have to buy. There's no obligation. If you want to buy, you can buy, but you don't have to. And usually when you educate people, the benefits of your product or service, you're the one that wins. I mean, some of you could spend afternoons, for example, putting ads on Kijiji. I hate Kijiji ads, but I have had many business owners on this training program that have said to me they work. So I'll believe them. If they work, the only way you're going to find out if they work is if you try them. If you don't try them, they won't work. There are some of you on this webinar that are good writers. Good writers need to write. That's what we need to do. It's like I'm a seminar presenter. That's what I do. So I have to present seminars. I can't just sit back and say, well, you know what? I'm a seminar and a webinar presenter, but nobody ever sees me seminaring or webinaring, or whatever it is. And it's the same thing with people that are writers, is that on a regular basis, we need to prioritize creating content. We need to write blogs. We need to write articles for magazines, content for our Facebook page and things like that. And we need to do it. And a lot of us are guilty, including myself. I think, you know, very often I should be creating videos regularly and sharing them on YouTube or creating content on LinkedIn. And why don't I do it? Because I don't prioritize. Obviously, my business is at a very different stage to many of you guys, but that's the reality. The reality is that we don't do these things because we don't prioritize them. Or we're not sure it's going to work or whatever it is. Well, if you don't try, you don't know. And I believe that over the next couple of years, we're going to have to work harder. We're going to have to put in more time. We're going to have to do this. I mean, we had the crisis to do all these things, and a lot of people did nothing. Why? I don't know. We were stressed. We had things going on. We were filling time watching a Netflix or whatever it is that people were doing when we could have been fixing our businesses. You can give away free coupons. You can create partnerships with other companies. Earlier on, I was saying to you that some people would recognize me from running seminars in Staples. But that is one of these strategies we used over the years, is we'd have partnerships. We'd partner with companies like Staples or Visa or some of the banks or some of the cities that I work with. And the reason we do this is that together you can market your database. So maybe that's an opportunity for you. Maybe because your business has slowed down. And for some of you, it hasn't slowed down. But I've heard from a lot of business owners these last few weeks that are saying, no, things are slowing down. And if that's the case, we need to make sure that we start working now. We don't wait till the end of the year when we don't have leads coming in. We need to be proactive and get out there and try and find people that we can do business with. Or maybe create a customer referral program. Customers that know, like, and love you can share information about your business. And why would they do that? Because they want you to stay in business. Early on, I was speaking about that Nama, that young woman that owns Smart Density. Here's another thing they've started doing is webinars. Look at the beauty of these webinars that they run on a regular basis. Any one of you can go to their websites and do this. Has it been very effective? Absolutely. Their business has grown phenomenally over the last 5 years. Is it only because of the webinars? No. Is it because of the webinars and the publicity and that they do great work? And yes, it's a combination of all of these things. But when you sell a service, you've got to present your knowledge out there. That's the only way people can differentiate you. They can say, oh, Andrew knows a few things about whatever, running a business. Let's go and see if we can do business with them. Because all of us can say that. I mean, any one of us can, with a bit of a qualification, say, no, I'm good at that thing. But until you prove it, nobody knows how good you are. I mean, I can go to different seminars and I can say things like I've worked in 23 different countries and I've written 2 books. And you can imagine people on the other side. Some of them will think, show off, or others will think, probably he knows somebody that, whatever reasons people have of thinking of things. But here's the thing, you've got to get out there and share your expertise, show your expertise. Doesn't matter whether you're selling a product or a service. The other thing we want to do is we want to do advertising. We have to do advertising, whether it's in the form of newsletter, whether it's in the form of email marketing, Facebook, Twitter, all of these things. And the basics are always the same. You need to get people's attention. You need to get their interest. But most importantly, you need them to take action. And you've got to understand this. And when you want people to take action, ideally, you need to go after those people that need your product or service. And when we create marketing materials or advertising, we know what words attract people's attentions. Words like free consultation, like, we will create a special program just for you, a very powerful word in the English language. Or we guarantee our product or service, we'll give you a guarantee that if you're not happy, we'll return your money. Or act now, this special only on until the end of August is something that motivates people. Or this new service or new product, whatever it is, exclusive, or say, all of these words are very, very powerful words in the English language and very powerful words in marketing. And every one of us need to go through our marketing materials and look at them and say, does this say that we want to do more business? And it's really important that we do this. The other thing that I recommend all of us do is relook at our branding. Does your website and your Facebook page and your Twitter and your LinkedIn, whatever it is, does it look like the same company or not? Maybe we've had, very valid and good reasons for the last couple of years to be, maybe not as productive. I was looking for a polite word, as we should have been. But now we have to get up and start doing things again. We can't just, mosey on. And Canva, I think, really helps. Maybe that is one of the things you have to do after this webinar, is go and look at your Facebook page and your Twitter page and your LinkedIn page and things like that. The other thing you want to do is you want to run special promos. I'll give you an example. We've got a store down the road here, and they opened maybe 3 months ago. And in the beginning, there was flags and banners and things like that. On Saturday, I walked past, you know what, a little blackboard they had there. They've been in business maybe 3 months. They already got bored of marketing. I walked past and I nearly missed the store. Here's the thing we've got to learn to do. And it's really important that we do this now, is we learn to get people's attention. We learn to run special offers. We learn to, and we know what to do. Because as soon as people see that word special offer, most of us will notice it. So we got to go back to some of those traditional marketing things, like free gifts, like special promotions for seasons. I mean, we've got Halloween coming up, then we got fall, and we got the holiday season. For some of us, the next 4 or 5 months are the best time of the year. Jeez, it's already August, I've just realized. Any product demonstrations or door hangers. You know, I was working with a young group recently, and this one guy said to me, he does landscaping and things like that. He said he's going to get business cards. And I said, why are you going to get business cards? I said, you know, why not get a door hanger? So when I get to my front door, I see what you do. He says, yeah, no, I never thought about that in the same price. The point is, we've got to be creative. We've really got to become creative. We've got to get people's attention, because if people have less money to spend, or even if it's not a reality, even if it's a perception, you know, some of you on this webinar might say, no, there's no recession going on. And you may be right, but the perception is that there is. And when people perceive there to be a problem, usually they spend less money. I mean, I know I've been thinking about it these last few days. The interest rates have come out, gone up now. So I'm thinking, maybe I should pay off some of the money I owe, and I'm going to spend less money, whatever. And I don't need to do that. But the reality is, because of what people are saying about a recession, even I am looking at every single purchasing decision. The other thing some of us need to redo, including myself, is, start posting more stuff on Instagram and on Facebook and maybe on Pinterest if you got very visual products. And maybe we need to create videos more often. You know, these are the type of things we need to do. Or maybe create TikTok videos in our store, or post educational content. But these are doing things, you know, and we've got to do them. We've got to prioritize, and we've got to make sure that we do them. And if you want to make social media more effective, is, you know, maybe create some hashtags, maybe partner with influencers, maybe focus engagement, whatever. This stuff is not easy to do. You know, putting it on the screen and explaining it is very, very simple. When you're online, you know, I mean, I'm looking at this heading, you know, use hashtags, and I'm a culprit in this. And sometimes I use hashtags, and other times I don't use hashtags. And it's usually because, I don't know, I'm rushing, whatever it is. But these are the basics of online marketing, that if you use hashtags, you get better responses. Or LinkedIn, for example. I can't remember the last time I was on LinkedIn promoting myself and things like that. And maybe you're in the same situation. All of us know that we could be doing more to improve our business. Maybe we could be doing a little bit of SEO. I mean, I was thinking about it last week, for example. I don't remember the last time I went onto my website and did some SEO. You know, and it's because we get lazy, because we've been really busy these last couple of years working on big projects and things like that. But now that people have mentioned the R word, all of a sudden, I start looking at everything in my business. Will it affect me? Probably not, but it's still, I'm thinking about it. And that makes me a better business owner. It improves my marketing, improves the way I think. My Google My Business page. You know, when was the last time there was update? Or online advertising? I mean, I've been speaking to a lot of small business owners lately that say that online advertising is not working as well. I mean, if any of you read the media, you've seen the results of Google and Facebook and things like that people are not using it as much. If that's the case, we need to be measuring and saying, should we be doing this or shouldn't we be doing this? On the other hand, I've seen some small business owners. I had an example. I was running a course about a month ago, and I was saying to people, you know, people are struggling with advertising. And this one kid got up and said, well, I spent $100 and I've got this massive contract. And there you go. So this for some people, it's working really, really well. The other thing we need to look at is our websites. When was the last time you updated your website? I mean, even sometimes, you go to people's websites and you'll see it says at the bottom, last updated in 2019. You don't think Google can see that these things haven't been updated? Ensure that your website's responsive. Keep the layout simple. Include testimonials for credibility. Develop an online marketing plan. I mean, this is not rocket science. This is not new stuff, but it's stuff we need to re-look at the way we do things and, update. Here's a very good example. Actually, this is my son, Daniel. He runs a successful online store. But, I went on this morning and I realized, why he runs a successful online store? Because his website is beautiful. It explains things really well. He sells a unique product. And these are the things we need to look at. Do we need to redesign our websites? Probably not. Do we need to make them look prettier? Probably. By using better photographs, by using better copy, all of these things. These are the basics that we know. For those of you that are based in Ontario, actually a couple of provinces across Canada, you can participate in this program called Digital Main Street. They give you $2,500 to get your business online more effectively. Early on in the webinar, I said to you, actually the first slide, I said to you, create a marketing plan for your business. Write down your marketing objectives for the next 5 months, who your target customer is going to be, who your competitors are, and check their prices. Write down things that differentiate you in your value proposition. Create marketing tools you're going to do. But we've got to do these things. We can't sit back and let things happen. So let me just summarize. If you want to succeed in business going forward, these are some of the things you need to do. You need to be very, very clear on who your ideal customer is. You need to understand what your value proposition is. Your product and service has got to be different. It's got to be unique. It's got to be special. And you've got to be able to tell people how your product or service is different, unique, and special. You've got to develop a marketing plan to give you a bit of structure, to give you a bit of focus, so you can prioritize the things that you need to do. You need to offer great service so that people trust you, that they remember you, that they tell their friends about you. You need to build a database of emails so you can communicate with people regularly. There's no rocket science involved here. These are simple things that every single one of us on this webinar know about. We know about these things. Have we been doing them properly? Probably not. And that is the problem. So this is why I encourage you to re-look at your marketing. It is the only way you and I are going to survive over the next 3 or 5 years. We've got to get up and become marketers again. We've got to generate leads. We've got to go to events. We've got to try different things. And if we do that, we will survive. And some of us will thrive. And that is my wish for every single one of you, that you take 1 or 2 of these ideas that I shared with you today and you do them and they work for you and you become successful. That is my wish for every single one of you.